All right. So today we're talking about dividing rational numbers. So we are going to divide positive and negative fractions using multiplicative inverses, and we're going to divide algebraic fractions. So this says Ms. Holleran had 3 apples. She cut each of them in half. There are 6 half pieces in 3 apples. So 3 divided by 1/2 would equal 6. Another way to find the number of sections is to multiply 3 times 2, which would equal 6. Okay, so if you think about it, you have 3 apples, you cut them in half, each one of those apples is now 2 pieces, so you would have 6 pieces. All right, so all of the properties of integers also apply to rational numbers. The statement 1/4 times 4 equals 1 demonstrates another property. So remember, 4 you could write as 4 over 1, okay? And 1 times 4 is 4, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 over 4 equals 1, okay? Two numbers whose product is 1 are called multiplicative inverses or reciprocals, okay? And this is just some information that what I just went over. So for example, 2/3 times its multiplicative inverse or reciprocal is 3/2, and that would be 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 2 is 6, 6 over 6 is 1, or you could simplify it all down to where it's 1 over 1. All right, let's look at these in some examples, okay? We have find the multiplicative inverse of each number. So we have 7 over 16. So the multiplicative inverse would be a number multiplied to 7 over 16 that would equal 1. Well, we just have to flip the 7 over 16 and it would be 16 over 7. So the multiplicative inverse or the reciprocal of 7/16 is 16 over 7. Now B is a little more trickier. We have -6 and 1/3. We have to first change that to a mixed number. So don't forget, you multiply and then you add. So we have 3 times 6, which is 18. 18 plus 1 is 19. So 19 over 3. And it's negative, so we have to continue to bring that negative sign over. Now we can find the multiplicative inverse or reciprocal of -19 over 3. We just flip it, and it would be -3 over 19 would be the multiplicative inverse or reciprocal. So let's take a look at these two. We have -7/9. Again, we could flip it. It's negative, so the answer is going to be negative, and it would be 9 over 7. Okay? 2/12, again, we have to change that to a mixed number. So 2 times 12 is 24, plus 1 would be 25 over 12, and then that would equal 12 over 25 for the multiplicative inverse or reciprocal. Okay? So first you have to change it to a mixed number, and then you can find the multiplicative inverse or reciprocal. All right, so basically multiplicative inverses are used in division. So if we consider 4/9 divided by 3/5, so if we have 4/9 divided by 3/5, we could multiply the top and the bottom, the numerator and denominator, both by the reciprocal of 5/3. And when you do that, you will find that the bottom multiplies out to equal 1. So 1 would be my new denominator. So when you have a denominator as 1, you can just get rid of the denominator and just have 4 over 9 times 5 over 3. So in essence, what we're doing when you have two rational numbers or two fractions that you are dividing, you can, instead of dividing, you multiply by the reciprocal. Okay? So let's look at an example. We have 3/4 divided by 5/8. Excuse me. So we change the division sign to multiplication, and we change the 5/8 to its reciprocal or multiplicative inverse, and that would become 8 over 5. So now we are multiplying 3/4 times 8 over 5. Of course, we can try to simplify anything before we start. And that gives me 4 goes into 1 4 times, 4 goes into 8 2 times, and then 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 5 is 5, that's 6/5. And then don't forget 6/5 is just 6 divided by 5. That can go in 1 time, so remainder of 1, and we put the remainder back over the denominator, so it becomes 1 1/5 as the answer. All right. So here's a couple for you to try and see what you get, okay? And then come back and see how you did. All right, so we have -6/7 divided by 12. Well, 12 can be written as a fraction as 12/1. So now we have -6/7, change to multiplication, use the reciprocal, and now try to simplify anything that I can simplify. So the 6 will go into 6 1 time, and 6 will go into 12 2 times. And so that will end up giving us 1 times 1 is 1, and 7 times 2 is 14. One's negative, one's positive, so the answer is -1/14. Okay? Now we have 3/4 divided by 11. We would do the same thing. 3/4, change to multiplication, 1/11. Nothing will simplify, so that'll be 3/44. And that would be my answer. Okay? All right. So now we have mixed numbers. We have -6 2/5 divided by 2 2/5. So the first thing we have to do is to change those to improper fractions. Don't forget you multiply, then you add. So 5 times 6 is 30, plus 2 is 32, so -32/5. And then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so 11/5. Then we change the division to multiplication and change 11/5 to its reciprocal of 5/11. And then we can simplify. 5 goes into 5 1 time, and 5 goes into 5 1 time. Then we multiply straight across, and we get -32/11. And then 11 goes into 32 2 times. That's 2 times 11 is 22, so it gives me a remainder of 10. So I would have -2 and 10/11. All right, let's work a couple of those. So try both of those, see how you do, and then come back and see how you did. All right, let's see how you did. So 8 times 6 is 48, plus 3 is 51/8, divided by -. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 1 is 17/4. So I would take 51/8, change to multiplication, change to its reciprocal, which is 4/17. Now, can anything simplify down? And the answer is yes. 17 goes into 17 1 time, and 17 goes into 51 3 times. 4 goes into 4 1 time, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. Then when I multiply straight across, I'm going to end up with 3/2. Negative. And that would be -1 1/2. Okay? All right. Now, if you didn't catch the simplification of 17 and 51 and you multiplied across and you got, let's say, 51/8, that's fine. You're still going to end up, once you figure out your mixed number and then you figure out simplify down again, you're going to still get -1 1/2 at the end. Okay? All right, let's see how you did on 3B. So we have 5 times 6 is 30, plus 4 is -34/5, divided by 5 times -2 would be -10, plus 2, so -12/5. Again, we have 34/5 negative, change it to multiplication, changes to its reciprocal of 5/12. Then we can take a look, and is there anything that we can simplify down? And there is. Let's see, what can we do? We could go 12 goes by 2s, so 2 goes into 12 6 times, and 2 goes into 34 17 times. 5 goes into 5 1 time and 1 time. So that's going to give me 17 over 6, and because 17 times 1 times 6, and then they're both negative, so the answer is going to be positive. Then 6 goes into 17 2 times with a remainder of 5, so 2 and 5, 6. Okay? All right. So let's take a look at a word problem. It says Tessa feeds her dog Roscoe 3 3/4 cups of dog food per day. If she buys a bag of food that contains 165 cups, how many days will the bag of food last? Well, we know that we have a total of 165 cups, and we know each day it's 3 3/4 cups. So we could just take 165 divided by 3 3/4. Okay? Well, first we change that 3 3/4 to a mixed number. And that would be 4 times 3 is 12, 12 plus 3 is 15, so 15 over 4. Now we take 165, change it to multiplication, and use the reciprocal of 4 over 15. We then simplify down. 15 goes into 165 11 times. So we go 11 times 4 is 44, 1 times 1 is 1, so 44. We look up here at the answers, D, 44 days. Okay? All right. So let's look at this one. A box of cereal contains 15 3/5 ounces. If one bowl holds 2 2/5 ounces of cereal, how many bowls of cereal are in one box? Well, we know the total is 15 3/5, and each bowl is going to hold 2 2/5, so we just have to divide them. But first, we got to get improper fractions. So would be 5 times 15 is 75 plus 3, so 78/5. Divided by 12/5. We then would say 78/5 times 5 over 12. Then we look for if we can simplify anything, and 5 goes into 5 one time. 6 goes into 12 2 times, and 6 goes into 78 13 times. So then we would have 13 times 1 is 13. 1 times 2 is 2, so 13 over 2. 2 goes into 13 6 times with 1 left over. So 6.5 cups. If I look over here, that would be F. All right, very good. All right, lastly, we're going to talk about dividing algebraic expressions. So you can divide algebraic fractions in the same way that you divide numerical fractions. So we are to find 4 over QRS. And don't forget, when you have variables together, that just means Q times R times S, divided by 10 over SQ. So we do it the same way. We leave the first fraction, we change division to multiplication, and then we use the reciprocal or multiplicative inverse. So we flip the 10 over QS becomes QS over 10. Then we look, is there anything we can simplify? Well, 2 goes into 4 2 times, 2 goes into 10 5 times. And then we look at the variables. If we have the same variables, we can cross them out. We can simplify them down. Because remember, that would just be like saying we have the same number. So QQ, that would be like saying I have a 4 and a 4. Well, those would simplify down to 1. So the Q's cross out. The S cross out. That leaves me the R. 2 times 1 is 2. R times 5 could be 5R. Okay? All right, let's try one of these. We have 5AB divided by, or 5AB over 6 divided by 10B over 7. So I would say 5AB over 6, change to multiplication, change to its reciprocal, 10B. Then I look if I can simplify. Well, the 5 goes into 5 1 times, and 5 goes into 10 2 times. There's a B on the numerator, a B in the denominator. So that becomes, let's change that back. That becomes A times 7 is 7A, and 6 times 2 is going to give me 12. So 7A over 12. All right, let's look at 5B. We have M, N, over 4, change to multiplication, change to its reciprocal or multiplicative inverse, so it's 8 over m. Then we take a look, is there anything we can simplify? Well, 2 goes into 4 2 times, and 2 goes into 8 4 times. Oh, we could do something different, can't we? 4 goes into 4 1 time, and 4 goes into 8 2 times. So we could simplify down even further. Instead of taking 2 steps, we just do it in 1. And then we have an m in the denominator and an m in the numerator. So that leaves me with n times 2, or 2n, and then 1 times 1, which is 1. So that's just going to be 2n. Good. All right. If you got any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a good day.